Well, as the rain comes down once again on central Bedfordshire, we lighten up everybody's days with a pod full of saints. We'll come to Jake Ellacott later because he doesn't support a club anymore. We'll start with Lee Wood. Evening, Lee.
David, Jacob's okay. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Is he? Has he ever been seen at one of our games?
No, but he does enjoy a Taylor Swift concert, so I've heard.
Yes, and a good night out in Bristol on Saturday, I believe, as well. Evening, Jake.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Lee. Have I missed anything? It's been another quiet week.
No.
Belter, mate. You missed an absolute belter of a week.
How many points did you miss? Oh, okay. Right, we start off by looking back to last Saturday, the Saints' 35th 4-3 defeat, when Salisbury picked up their first away win in National League South with a game that looked like it was going to be utter humiliation for us for an hour. We were 4-0 down and a late rally. What was it like behind the goal, Lee? What was the feeling there?
One of torment, I think. After the game, just quickly after the game, I thought I would try and slam my knackers in my car door just to see if it hurts as much as watching City. It doesn't, by the way. It was just one. I mean, every emotion possible. I think it highlights just how bad we can be, but also just how exciting we can be. The fact this rally that you speak of, Tavs, I think our arm was forced quite a lot into that, if I'm honest. Where'd you start with this, mate? Seriously, I mean, it was shambolic of the highest order. I think the scoreline papers over quite a few cracks, and probably buys Nobby a bit more time, which some people may think isn't warranted. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that the people that you were standing with, Tavs, were just pulling their hair out if they had hair after the first half an hour. No, well, there you
go. Your comments there, Lee, echo every response I've had from everybody. The comeback.
The voice of reason, mate. Come on.
Flattered by our third goal, Shaun Jeffers' goal, way offside, should have been disallowed. And the other comment, that paper's over the cracks. And the other comment that it has bought Nobby time. Well, that certainly everybody thinks that. And he don't deserve it. I'll come on to that in a minute. It's incredible. After the fiasco against Galston, got Yarmouth the previous week, defensively, we looked shot to pieces. When Salisbury scores at Josh Hedges on 6 minutes, you looked at us, our heads went down. And Salisbury didn't attack much, but every time they went up there, they got a goal pretty much. And we just looked so open. All right, Nobby, what are we going to call him? Nobby?
You called him worse, mate, trust me.
He's got a few problems with injuries at the moment, but that's no excuse for the way we have fallen apart at the back in recent games, is it?
Opening 20 minutes, I thought we were carved open. The Salisbury, they moved our defenders around fantastically. Their movement off the ball was absolutely outstanding. We were just caught short. We weren't strong enough in the tackle. We weren't organised enough in defence. We weren't intelligent enough to read what was in front of us. And it was just, I think anyone at the game on Saturday would have seen for their own eyes, and probably for the first time, even those real staunch Nobby lovers, the fact that it was just so bad. It was so bad. And a very couple of light-hearted penalty shouts for us. But apart from that, Josh huffed and puffed down that right wing. We had nothing, Tavs. We weren't even showing for anything, mate. And to be honest with you, 3-0 down at half-time, I think that flattered us even then.
Yeah. And they got that fourth one just before the hour. And you think, well, there's nothing to stop them going on and on because we're putting up no resistance whatsoever. Stirring fight back we saw at Galston the previous week. It didn't look like materialising this time. Against slightly better opposition, but I think Salisbury, I don't think they'd really have expected to win at the park. They would have hoped to because of our league position, but I wouldn't be surprised if they would have settled for a point because they're just getting established at this level, and to get a win there, an absolute bonus for them, and they could have obviously really boosted their goal difference. Nobby again went for one up front. This time it was Ken Charles, wasn't it, instead of
Yeah.
Shaun Jeffers. Why Nobby went for just one up front against Goulston, I would never know, and he did it again Saturday. And what I think the second half, particularly the last half hour, showed that he's not the manager of the job. He's not up for it because his plan has always been this passing football, really patient to as painful as shutting your doodahs in the door, weirdly, going across the back to the keeper, across, all the opposition into surrender. He had to get rid of that in the last half hour. He had 3 strikers on the pitch, and we were lumping the ball into the box. Now, isn't it funny? If you get the ball in the box, you score goals, you create chances. It's against his philosophy, what we've seen, but if he doesn't learn from that, well, he's never going to learn.
Okay, well, in that case, then the last half an hour is exception to the rule because we had to go for it. And I think after you got the first one and then the second one, then our tails were up. And then I think it just made sense just to just go all out and see what happens. First half, to sort of buy into his tactics, he dropped Shaun Jeffers and played Ken Charles up front. Ken Charles had an absolute torrid time. He's nowhere near strong enough to play that role up front all by himself. He's quick enough, yes, but what you'll find is that normally people get tight to you and there's always 2 on you at any one time. And he's going to get no purchase. His strength is his speed, obviously. And he wants to be running at defenders. And I think that's where playing 2 up front along with Shaun or another to lay off those balls, that's where he needs to be. This one up front is absolute bollocks. And it's only going to work if you've got those strong runners from midfield and they know what they're doing. It's so pedestrian. The way we're passing at the minute, we're not going to get that space. We're not going to see that ball for Ken Charles to run onto. It's only the last half an hour, albeit a very exaggerated version of how we want to play. But look, we know we can turn that screw if needed. Unfortunately, we were 4-0 down when it first started, so we had no choice really other than to do that. Look, Nobby got away with one. I say he got away with one. We still lost the bloody game. He got away with one in so much that maybe the owners have seen enough of a battle, enough of a resilience from that fight back to maybe extend his stay for a few more weeks. Who knows?
I don't know where you get the idea we can turn that screw, Lee. We did it once, Saturday. Can you see it in our previous 9 league games? No, not at all. It doesn't happen. Maybe it kick things in and they change for forthcoming games, but it's the first time we've seen us put a side under pressure for a sustained period. And as I say, you said it papered over the cracks. The third goal makes it look even closer than it was, and it shouldn't have been allowed, as I said. But you get those breaks and you take them. One of the good points, I suppose, was Makise Evans, 10th player by the name of Evans, who played for the club, who came off the bench at half-time and scored a cracking goal, didn't he, on his debut? And he looked lively, on loan from Stevenage.
Yeah, I guess when you sort of come to the light side of Hertfordshire, you're always going to sort of want to try and impress as well. I thought he looked really good. I thought the one thing I liked about him, the one takeaway I had, he was playing with his head high. He looked up. He was looking for that pass. He wasn't just sort of head down trying to play intricate passes 2-3 feet away. He was looking up. He was looking to expand and stretch the pitch. I guess I don't know whether the way we had to play in that last half an hour suited the game a little bit more because it was so expansive and it was quicker and the tempo was higher. But other than that, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what you can really gauge out of his performance. But look, I mean, it's turning the screw was probably the wrong term of phrase, but there is something in there. There's something in there. There's a little bit of fight in there, determination, because up until that point, Tavs, what have we had to show for our season? What have we had to show for our season up until that point? Really, very, very little. But it took for us to be 4-0 down at home to a team who had just got promoted in order to do that. And there were people coming away off the terraces. You asked me what it was like. It was just really bizarre. People were sort of clapping and cheering and singing as though we'd won the bloody game. The comeback and the spirit showed in the last half an hour was deserving of accolade to a degree, but not to the extent where people should have gone away from that game feeling happy about it. It wasn't good enough. We weren't at the races for most of the game. and the scoreline flat to deceive. And quite frankly, there's too many people at the club, both on and off the pitch, that are currently kidding themselves.
They will be kidding themselves. Salisbury are a mid-table side. If they stay mid-table rest of the season, they will be perfectly happy. As I say, their first year at this level, but they take that all day long. Yeah. So to fail to get in a position of 4-0 down against them, that says a lot about our team, doesn't it? It just shouldn't be in that state. And anyone who was delighted at the end, that comeback only just failed. They are deluding themselves. You mentioned support and whatnot there. Credit to the supporters. There were shouts of Nobby out in the first half, and understandable when the goals were piling up against us. But the kids behind the goal, when it was 4-0, they started singing "City Till I Die." I'd have taken that option, the way things were going. But then when we got the goal back, they really got behind them and full marks them. They stayed behind them the rest of the game because they've had to suffer a lot this season. It's the first time we scored 3 at home in the league since February. So for the kids to, I say kids, there'll be adults joining as well, given that support, that was terrific. It wasn't deserved by the players, it must be said, but it was good to see them respond.
I think there's been quite a lot of comment on the socials about how can you deem yourself as a fan of the club if you're asking for the manager to be sacked, and that you're not a true fan of the club if you don't support the team. We can look at this in various ways. The way I see it, I will always support the team. Doesn't mean I have to accept the way the manager plays or the team the manager chooses. I was there singing and chanting and, every little thing is going to be all right, towards the latter stages of that game. But the chance of Nobby out, they were fully justified. And, and I cannot stress to you enough the discontent on the terraces. There were little sort of pockets. They were pro-Nobby and then some very much were against what was sort of going on, as you would expect, being 4-0 down against a mediocre side at best. But ultimately, that mediocre side made us look like a pub side. And we defended as such and we played as such. And they got the reaction it deserved at half-time. Players are players. They fleet in and out of games. And they're far too inconsistent for us to get any traction at this level. And quite frankly, whatever response the players got at the end of the game, they couldn't have argued if they got clapped off. They couldn't really argue if they got booed off and jeered off, because they deserved a little bit of both, in my opinion. I just think we have to look at the elephant in the room in so much that performance. Where's this sort of drive and this passion been for the last 11 games? Because is it now that the chips are down? David Noble in his post-matches has now reacted to the fact that players are playing for their shirts. Positions are up for grabs. He's not happy with the way things are going. Well, yeah, no shit, mate, but you're not paying £16.50 to get in and watch it every single day. The thing is, you've got to react now. You have to react now. It's almost too late to do it now. Some people think Nobby should have gone a month ago. People think he should be staying on. But look, whatever happens, we can't have this week in and week out where we are judging ourselves and we're clapping off players for yet another home defeat.
I'll pick up a couple of things there. Talking to a supporter before the game, somebody supported the club for over 60 years and put a lot of money and time into watching the club in that time. He said, I don't turn up wanting the City to win, but at the moment I do. If it means we get rid of the manager and changes, and he wants a whole lot of a coaching staff gone as well, a whole new broom needs to come in his opinion. But he said, I'll take the defeats if it's going to bring it along. Fair enough. And also, how can people criticise those who want a managerial change? If we don't change it, we're going to go down. The way it looks at the moment, we're going to go down. So people who want change, all they want is for the club to improve and stay up and get better. They're not putting the club down. They are looking for the club's safety and future. And that view shouldn't be criticised, just like supporting Nobby shouldn't be criticised either. But everyone's entitled to have their opinion on it.
They are, and I'm going to bring in Jake on this, because Jake, the fact of the matter is, despite the fact you were strapped naked to a lamppost in Bristol for 3 days over the course of the weekend, I think it's very poignant the fact that you followed this club up and down the land, and you can see the benefits of both sides. And it's got to the stage now where I wouldn't say it's toxic on the terraces, but it's certainly a little bit disconcerting. And people are starting to get a bit niggly with each other over the whole nobby in, nobby out thing.
It's a shame, isn't it, to see it going this way? But I thought you could see it in the summer, actually, when he came back. The reaction on social media was mixed. I don't think it was positive like the club expected it to be. It wasn't the return of the club's glorious son that's gone off to enjoy a short stay in northwest London. It was, in the summer, it was a poor response. And we talked about how at the time he needed to get a good, positive start to the season, a winning run, and it's been a polar opposite. So, of course, there's going to be negativity. And as you say, I think it's fair enough if fans want to be nobby out. I think it's fair enough if fans are to be nobby in. But different opinions are allowed. We're a football club. There's always going to be a variety of opinions, especially when it means so much to people as well. And I think we saw that in the singing and the chanting and the backing of the boys that they received on Saturday. And also before that, in recent games, the support behind the boys has been brilliant, but that's only because the fans care so much. And that is allowed. Without those fans, this club wouldn't be anywhere anyway. So you can have opinions. It's free to have them. And I think it's amazing how much support the lads have had in the last couple of weeks, considering the performances and the results. There's not many teams, I don't think, in this division that would see the support they have had when their team is bottom of the division, 6 points adrift.
There's no doubt that comeback has boosted Nobby's chances of staying on for at least a few more weeks. But you mentioned, AJ, about the crowd, another 1,400 down there. As long as the crowds are up there and the club's getting revenue from all those food outlets all around the park and bringing in big money, his position is safe. And so occasional win, which he will get eventually, you can see him going the whole season. Even if we don't improve much, he will, and the gates stay up, he will still be in that job.
I don't agree. I do not agree, Taz, because the thing is, the concessions is another whole thing. And okay, the appeal of your deep fried food, your burgers, your chicken, your beer, giving everyone diabetes in St Albans is one thing. But ultimately, the owner, he wants to see a thriving football club. And you can only get away with sort of turning a blind eye on results so often. I had a really good chat with him in the clubhouse after the match, and he's under no illusions. There were people coming up to him saying, "Oh, is it time for Nobby to go? I think Nobby should stay," and he was very diplomatic. But the one thing I saw in him is the fact that he's not blind to it. And he can't. My only concern about this whole situation is that he needs to leave himself a bit of time to get the pieces in place if he is going to move Nobby on, because unless he's doing some business behind the scenes now, and talking to managers or whoever, I don't know. But look, let's just say he is. That's still going to need time to transpire, right? And that fella's going to need time to manoeuvre. Organise his back stuff, and then he's going to need time to speak to the players and then implement his way of all this takes time. And albeit it's October, the rot is a rot, Taz. And you said it yourself there, you've got fans of over 60 years not wanting City to lose games, but because of David Noble and the season we've had so far, that's now transpired that isn't the case.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Just want to return to matters briefly on the pitch again. We had, for the first time in 8 years, we had players sent off, not the same one, in 2 consecutive league games. Phil Chinedu, whatever you pronounce it, his tackle. I think he went for the ball, but he just mistimed it. And maybe it looks worse than it actually was. He's a big lad. It's going to look bad. And in fact, the bloke got up pretty quickly. He didn't make a meal of it like a lot of players do. But that's cost us another defender out for another 3 games after hasn't he just extended his loan or something? So it's a headache that nobody could do without. With Zane's still got another game left on his ban, or 2 games left, or 1 game I think it is.
I love Dave went for the ball. Which one, left or right? I mean, to be fair, it was a horrific tackle, Taz. Whether he meant it or not is another argument. Oh, it was bad. I mean, it was the full force of him, and the fella's a big unit as well. But look, we're getting defenders in now. We're getting some loanies. We're seeing the fruition of our scouting network. Hopefully, we've got some good names coming in as well. So look, let's just see where we are. But again, this just prolongs the agony. And unless we start picking up wins, then I'm afraid we're just going to sort of delay the obvious, because we're getting a point here or a point there. That's no good. We've got to start getting wins at some point. What are we now, 12, 13 games into the season? And we're dining out on a 3-0 win away to Needham Market, who, quite frankly, we could have scored against, and a penalty win last night against Hitchin. So it's looking rough, boys. And I say this with the greatest possible respect. Things have to change, and they have to change now.
Right, you weren't there Saturday, Jake. Were you able to follow the game at all?
Unfortunately, yes. Amongst the pints, goal notifications were coming actually quite quickly, much more quickly than I was expecting. And as I announced everyone to the group, there was always a good laugh about it. Towards the end, it was actually getting quite surreal when it made 4-2. I was like, surely not 4-3. But it never felt like we were actually going to do that comeback. And it's such a shame that we couldn't. But like you've both suggested, this week, I don't know, at least online, some things I've read, it feels like a club that could easily sleepwalk its way to being quite a few points adrift in a couple of weeks' time if we're not careful. I know we're already 6 points adrift, and luckily the teams above us in sort of 20th, 21st haven't really been picking up points lately. But if we're not careful, things will deteriorate very quickly. We saw that with Havant last season. They didn't start well. They picked up a couple of points here and there, a bit like us, but not long into the season they found themselves cut adrift. And we've got to make sure we avoid that. So I'm glad I missed it. Wouldn't want to be right in the NLP for that match. Probably I'd struggle to fit it into the normal amount. So
here we go. Hold tight.
It's round about this time last year, Jake, wasn't it? That haven't got rid of Steve King as manager, and big mistake. Obviously, getting rid of manager when you're struggling. Keep him in there.
But it still went down, so it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean.
Anyway, as Lee alluded to there, Saints, well, we didn't return to winning ways last night. We got a 1-1 draw away to the worst side in whichever division of the Southern League, which Hitchin are in. They got 4 points from 9 games their league season. That's utopia for some clubs. And they did look a very mediocre side last night. But boy, did we struggle. That first half, we just couldn't get going at all. The goal we gave them, an absolute joke. A new guy, Dion Woodman, I don't know, I haven't seen the highlights yet, but divvying around, delayed his clearance. Eventually, bloke Daniel Stoko shut him down and rebounded off his leg straight into the net. I like how Twitter said caught Michael Johnson out. No, it's the stupidity of our defender caught Michael Johnson out. We've seen it now at Torquay, cushioning the ball in the box. Galston cushioning the ball in the box, and then last night taking time over a clearance. When our coaches go and tell defenders, clear your lines. Our way we play has cost us 3 goals in the last 4 games, let alone all the other mistakes and way we're defending of late. 3 which could have been and should have been avoided. They're just not learning lessons as coaching staff. But after that, second half, we got well on top. A good goal from George Hoddle right at the end, but you mentioned earlier, Lee, that we could have scored against Needham. Well, a lot of people could have scored that goal. He ran from the halfway line. Nobody put a challenge in. And the keeper said, well, I'll dive the other way if you want to stick it in that corner. And that retained our grip on the Heart Charity Cup. We only won it 2 months ago. We nearly lost it again already. It was not a great night for the city at all. Another comeback, of course. We are the comeback kings at the moment. Ending historic failure each time. You wouldn't get excited about City's performance last night. Yes, we had the second half, but come on, look who we were playing against. We had a few former Saints in there. There's Solomon Sambu played for an hour. Joseph Chidiseki, whatever his name is. God, he was big with us. He's the size of a bus now. And the other one, George Morrell, who's kindly missed a penalty for us in the shootout to help us go through. But Hitchin, they got problems there. You can see they got problems. But the spirit they showed, they fought all the way through. And they made it hard for us. And Nobby's post-match, what was it? He said Hitchin were up for it, trying to excuse us not winning. Well, I would have thought every team is up for it, whoever you're playing. And it was such a ridiculous thing to say. we can't beat sides because they're up for it. Well, that's our stuff for the rest of the season, isn't it?
I spoke to the Hitchin media team this morning. Actually, I do their program, and Brett Donnelly, their manager, is facing an uphill battle there. He's inherited a team which it just looks out of sorts entirely. But these games, Tabs. I mean, I'm a fan of these county cup games because it's a bit of a escapism for us old fogies who like to tread the terraces. But what I would say is that I don't think anyone can really judge this sort of game on the development of the team at the minute. These games are used to get injured players back, maybe have a look at a key player, a loanee or two. I don't think this adds or detracts anything from the league campaign as such. The personnel was vastly changed, as you said. So, but ultimately, it's just another embarrassment, isn't it, on the season, which has already shown plenty of which. I don't know. It's Glenn Hoddle, one shining light. The media fella at Hitchin said he was the difference, but then again, it took him an hour and a half to make that. So it's not as though we were, battering them for the entire game.
No, George Hoddle, you mentioned it. He's starting to find his form, I would say, last couple of games. He's obviously had a long time.
We need him, mate.
Yeah, we definitely need him. We haven't got any other quality in midfield. We need him.
Yeah.
Well, or let's say we're not showing it. There's players there we know have got ability, but they're not showing it. Hitchin, you mentioned Brett Donnelly, who took over towards the end of last season, didn't he? Too late to save him from what would have been relegation. So he started getting players in for a lower level. Then they got reprieve from relegation, and they say their excuse is we weren't able to get players for a level we're at now. We'd started getting them in for the one below. Well, that's all right. It'd be okay for next season the way things are going. So simply for them, and I hope they can turn it around. I never like to see Hitchin struggling, despite the nonsense with tickets on the gate last night. We'll come to that later, I think. We had 3 trialists. Well, we didn't have a trialist. Dion Woodman is not a trialist. He signed on loan from Wheelstones. Had 3 games for them. 2's come on a sub. 1 he started. He's from the Valenti agency, who was run by Bobby Bowery, which is Dan's brother, and Dean Austin is head coach for the academy there. So I think we can see how we got him. 2 other players, Terrell Whitaker and Khalid Sims, also played. Sims looked rather, not Sims, Simo looked rather quick as well. And will we see any more of those? God knows. Nothing from the club's website, I think, about them, is there? Or Twitter or anything?
No. All we knew about was Woodman. To
be fair, the Twitter had an absolute shocker yesterday, so who knows what is going on there.
I enjoyed your little thing about Dion Woodman's mistake at the back there, Dave. He'd only been at the club for about 2 hours beforehand, so yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why. He got caught doing that clearance, and he's been looking around and he's blaming other players. Oh, I know, he's got a bit of character about him. But there you go. It wasn't the best of starts for him.
I think.
Sorry, come.
No, go ahead, Dave.
I say presumably we brought him in because David Longking got a groin injury on Saturday, and Chinadu, of course, now starts his suspension.
Indeed. So I think we needed the cover, didn't we? And to be honest, Woodman seems highly rated, but we actually need to see him in some league games, don't we, actually performing for us. So it wasn't the best of starts for him. I was just going to say last night, there's a couple of Saints fans that I spoke to while the game was ongoing that were there, who are probably more in the Nobby in camp, but even they were sort of at half time, they go, oh my God, we look so bad. Even though it was a very mixed team, they just couldn't believe how bad we looked. So obviously that second half performance was much improved and good to see. But when you look at that Saints team, there was still a couple of names in there in the first that would probably fit into our starting 11. So there is still those concerns from that result. And, we were a couple of minutes away from being knocked out, and this week getting even worse. So once it went to penalties, we all know we'd win. Yeah, thanks to Michael Johnson. But it is worrying last night again for me, even though it was a very changed team.
Yeah, you mentioned Michael Johnson penalties there. What is it? I think it's 15 he's faced in league game in proper games for us. Only 7 have ended in a goal. So he's got a pretty good record there with that lot. And penalties, not so good actually. What is it? He says 17 in the shootout, 11 have ended in goals. So still not too bad a record. But there you go. Anything else good from the game? Well, this is not good, obviously. Jack James took a knock in the first half and went off before half time injured, which allowed Tafari Moore to come on and crash a shot against the bar in the last minute. Anything else good? I thought there were bits of Zane Banton, similar to his form at Torquay before he got sent off. Wasn't outstanding, but it looks as though he could be coming into form. So once he gets his suspension out of the way, it'll be a welcome addition to a team again. And Ify Allen, back after injury, got half an hour run out, a couple of good crosses, a couple not so good. I don't know, but as you say, and Alfie Payne got 90 minutes after getting dropped Saturday. The pro Nobby bunch weren't happy in the first half, and the anti-Nobby brigade, I'm struggling to get a lot of good out of that game.
Hoddle, I guess, like you said earlier, isn't he? That is probably the brightest thing, but he can't carry this team on his own in the National League South. We were playing a team bottom of the league below. We cannot be relying on just George Hoddle. He's great. We all love him. But we can't rely on just him to carry us. Other players need to step up now. And it's great that he did that last night, but other players need to do it as well. Hopefully he can inspire other players too. And also, he's only here for another, 18, 20 days. There might be a point where he has to go. We don't know yet. So that's a positive from last night. And yeah, but like you said, David Noble's post-match, he was talking about players needing to play for the shirt and want to play for the shirt. I agree. It's not the right thing to say, but I think it's actually quite insightful in the sense that he's thinking that now and actually thinking these players don't want to. And he's hinted either it's last night or the one on Saturday about how the young lads that are coming into the squad, the 18-year-olds, are showing more interest and passion and drive to play for the shirt than the other more senior players. So a lot of question marks there, and I think that leaves a lot to be discussed in the next few weeks.
What a load of tosh. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed with his post-match interviews at all. And before we did this, I read his programme notes on Saturday, and I just wish Nobby could say something convincing, but he's not coming across like that at all, unfortunately. We know what a great player he was, and I'd like to say something encouraging, but I'm just not seeing it. Just not seeing it at all. Anyway, anything else heard on the last 2 games, or should we move on to what we got coming up, which is quite interesting?
Move on.
Right, Saturday then. We were at Hampton and Richmond. The side I thought was really going to struggle this season because they suffered with owners and whatnot pulling out, or backers pulling out in the summer. A rookie manager and Alan Julian, and he's done a so-so job so far, mid-table. They can still get sucked into trouble if it goes wrong, but they're doing all right. It's a sort of game, before the season started, we would have gone to the Beverley looking to win. Now we're going there almost having to win. Is it going to happen?
Oh, wow. I mean, yesterday it looked so-so, but 13 points. I would bloody love that right now. 10 points ahead of us already, and I think they would be absolutely delighted with that start. As you said, they had issues in the summer. Alan Julian come in. He's got good contacts, Alan Julian. You have to say that. He's brought in a few decent faces there. But as you say, it's a game. We have to go there. We have to win, don't we? Surely. Anything less is a disappointment, just as it would have been against Salisbury, and it was against Salisbury. We can't keep relying on the teams above us dropping points. They will start picking up points at some point, and things will get worse. So, but with the form that we're in at the minute, every game looks really, really tricky.
Yeah. The Beverley. Oh, for some reason, we rarely see an exciting game there. Funny, 6-0 was, which should have been 3-all at half time where it was going. But that was quite exciting. But usually it's a battle, isn't it? It's going to be interesting to see what sort of side Julian puts out and if they change their style at all. I particularly want to see Alfie Williams playing, Dean's son, who's found a bit of form of late, apparently. But that's for us. One imagines Dion Woodman will be in the middle of a defence. Jack James, if he's fit, stays in there. Does Nobby recall Shaun and put him alongside Ken up front.
I think Woodman coming back. Oh, yeah, sorry, go on, mate.
No, go ahead, Lee.
I was just saying that Woodman is a banker to start in the middle of the park, in the middle of defence. Sorry, you've got to look at who's there. Barry blows hot and cold too many times. Partington seems to be going to the knackers yard. We've not seen him kick a ball in anger for quite some time. Poor Kieran Gauthier got torn a new one on Saturday against Salisbury. I think after what was an enlightening performance early on in the season against Dorking. Jack James, I think maybe time for a rest. Put Tafari in and see what happens up there, because I think we need a little bit of pace, a little bit of guts. It's going to be a dilemma for Nobby, because he's seen what can be achieved if we have a bit more of attacking stance in fixtures, but we need to show up that defence as well. And the defence really was sort of carrying us through for the early stages of this season. They were looking solid enough, but then the injuries kept creeping in. David Longking's out, Partington's out, players are off form. Woodman's now coming in, untested at this level, really. So against with the teammates, sorry. It's going to be a dilemma. He's got to play. I think it's prudent to think that he should play two up front with Jeffers and Charles. Let's take the game to them, because obviously sitting back and playing possession football isn't working for us at any stage. So we can't keep going back to making the same mistakes. It's just not intelligent football at all. Hoddle, Jake, you made a very good point there, mate. You know, he can't carry the team on his own. Well, he did for large parts of last season, mate. You know, and I think what is highlighted is just that bit of quality now, and just how much that can transform a side. He's only played for 2 games, and he's come in and absolutely, you know, he's really made his presence felt. All right, you know, his defending could have been better, but he's not in the team for that. Salisbury all around was just a shocking performance from 1 to 11. So we can't really judge the man on that when he's having to do other people's jobs for him. So look, ultimately, where do we stand? Because I don't know whether we've got another defeat in us until the inevitable happens, because we can't keep performing the way we have done and expect it at some point it's just going to materialise and it's all going to be all right.
Changes for you, Jake? If you can see anything happening?
Well, I was going to suggest, could we see Evans, the lad from Stevenage, come in to start alongside Ken? That would be my sort of rogue left field choice. I don't know if it's even that left field, to be honest. So I wouldn't be shocked by that. The midfield's an interesting area, isn't it? Will we maybe see Hoddle and Payne back in there? Will Deadfield feature? A few things being said about that. So, and also I think Tafari Moore. If Jack James is struggling, then I think Tafari Moore's got to come in.
Even if he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yes. A quick one. Josh Castiglione. He's been named player of the month the last 2 months. First 2 months of the season. Bit of a shock to those I was talking to last night. They're wondering who's doing the voting. And I would like to think he's got a lot more to offer than what we've seen so far.
I think David Longking's been done hard by there.
Yeah.
I think it's either Josh or Chicken George. So I think it was one or the other, to be fair. I'm surprised Chicken George didn't win it overall, you know.
I think, looking before we move on from Hampton, just looking through their squad quickly, they have some players that could hurt us in the forward areas. They've got James Roberts, Jake Gray.
Every team in this league has got
and
players
also,
that are going to hurt us.
Also, our old friend Alex Wall, he's also there
he'll score
on the bench.
He'll score. He'll score.
You know, just saying.
Jake Gray, you mentioned there. He had a few kind words for Tim Petty last season.
Don't we all?
Haven't we all, Tabs? I mean, you know, let's face it. He's just got one of those faces. Haven't you, Tim?
Yes. Okay. Right, let's do some predictions of this. We're also all very confident about this one. Jay, you seldom go to games nowadays, so we let you go first.
I've had enough of predicting wins this season. I'm going to go reverse psychology. 2-1 Hampton. Come on, you Saints.
Yeah, but it's the first time. Oh, no, it's not. You went for a defeat at Dorking. You only one goal out there. Yeah, yeah, okay. Lee, are you going to be as negative as Jacob was?
I am, but only because it's justified, and I've been to watch, and I've seen most of the games this season. I think it's going to be 3-1 to Hampton.
Yeah, it's difficult to argue against an Hampton win the way we're playing. Hampton, reports I've had, but they're not playing that badly. Results haven't been brilliant for them. They're not playing that badly. Oh, well, should we make it 3 out of 3 then? I'll go for a 1-0 defeat. So, bearing in mind, last 3 games, none of us have got the outcome right, let alone the score. So that bodes well for a City win on Saturday.
Love it.
Happy to be wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Hitchin. I was going to say about ticketing there.
Here we go.
I've always liked Hitchins. One of my favourite other clubs. And anyway, we got there last night. You go to the turnstile. No, you can't pay by card. You can't pay by cash. You've got to walk all the way out of Fishponds Road, through the car park, not to a hut there, round the back of a ground to a hut there, which is opposite side of the gate to the ground. You have to buy your ticket there. It takes some blooming ages to do it. It's not just scan a card and off you go. And then you've got to go all the way back round again. And bearing in mind, not long before kick-off, it was blooming torrential up there last night. So you're walking all the way around there again, and eventually you get into the ground. Torquay do the same. You go to an office there to get your ticket. Is it really impossible to put a machine on the turnstile that you just scan it like you do anywhere else? That aside, though, still like Hitchin, especially when they fail to beat us.
The biggest shock of all this is that such a technophobe as yourself managed to actually get a debit card and use the machine accordingly in order to get in the first place, too. Beautiful.
Indeed. Yes. Yes.
Oh, dear.
There you go.
Right.
Any other gossip?
Well, any other complaints, Dave, I was going to say?
Oh, yeah. How long we got?
Let's
not long enough, mate.
Let's not start that. I think that might be a good place to finish this this shambles. Oh dear. Well, on that positive, negative, I don't know what's going on anymore. Note, let us know your thoughts. Thanks, Podful of Saints on Twitter. Email in the description below. And I think that's all, really. We'll speak to you again next week after the Saints do something on the road at Hampton. So come on, you Saints, and we'll speak to you again soon. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.